Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Rob here from Showdown. Today we're going to be trying to find the strongest anime character of all time. But first, I did drop a video about the top 100 strongest anime characters of all time. And even though that list was crazy, we do have to look at that top 20 and see if that top 20 is going to be in this list also. I'm going to see what's going on. Let's get right into it. All right, first up, we have Garo going up against Natsu. Now, I know that Natsu is not only one of the strongest characters in anime, but he's also one of the strongest mages in anime because he's able to burn time itself. But when you're looking at Garo was boxing against Saitama. Garo forced Saitama to reach a higher level of strength because he had to grow exponentially in battle alongside Garo. Garo also has the ability to shoot gamma ray bursts. He has the ability to create portals and also warp space and time itself. That's something that I've seen that's beyond what Natsu can do, so I'm gonna go with Garo. Krillin versus Shigaraki, I don't even think I need to really break this down, really. You guys already know how powerful Shigaraki is, but Krillin is still a powerful character. Now, I'm not going to look at the Krillin versus Super Saiyan Blue Goku fight and say Krillin is Super Saiyan Blue, but even as an Earthling, even as a human, he's still an elite member of the Z Fighters. He still is planetary. He still has the ability to shoot Kamehameha waves, Destructo discs, and things of that nature. I don't think Shigaraki has anything in his arsenal, nor do I think Shigaraki is fast enough to contend with Krillin. I'm going with Krillin. Wow, this is just not fair. We love Gon, but adult Gon has no shot against Mob. Whether you're going to triple question mark unknown power Mob, or even you could get Mob at 70%. He's still packing up Gon. Choso versus Rock Lee. I understand that Choso's insane and he obviously is able to really use his piercing blood techniques that we got to see against Itadori, but once Sukuna popped out, it was a wrap. But that would be anybody in the verse. Here's the thing, if this is 8 gates Rock Lee, I think I gotta go with Rock Lee. Don't get it twisted, Choso is still an elite close combat fighter, but Rock Lee is on another level once he's locking into those 8 gates. Would he have to look up for the piercing blood techniques? 100%. But I don't think hand-to-hand combat wise, Choso's gonna be hanging with Rock Lee, because we know Rock Lee is a taijutsu master. The only greater taijutsu master that we've seen thus far besides Rock Lee is his sensei and Might Guy. Next, we have Higuruma going up against Tanjiro. Now, I'm not all the way caught up on the JJK manga, but I have heard that Higuruma is a problem. Based on the fact that he's a grade 1 sorcerer and he's been thrown in the Sukuna conversations, at least from what I've heard, I think I'm gonna have to go with him because I can't see Tanjiro being in those types of conversations. I can't. Big Mom versus Asta. Oh my god. Okay, so Big Mom obviously can manipulate souls. That is her devil fruit ability, and she also has amazing conquerors, amazing hacks, because she can literally remove your lifespan if you're afraid of her. But when we're looking at the likes of Asta is not going to be afraid of Big Mom, so there's no need to worry about any type of lifespan going away from him. Asta also is incredibly fast. He also has his Devil Union techniques that are just out of this world, and he is also an arcane magic user. Now, if we're going to have the One Piece verse going up against a Black Clover verse, if you want to say that Asta's ability is able to pretty much negate devil fruit abilities, if you want to say that, I mean, you can maybe equate that by using verse equalization, but either way, this is a clear Asta victory. Guts versus Tatsumaki. Guts is one of the most powerful swordsmen that we've really ever seen, but we also have to understand that the Berserk verse is not really scaling to what the One Punch Man verse has shown us thus far. You're talking about characters in the One Punch Man verse that can sneeze away Jupiter, planetary, and all, just way beyond what the Berserk verse has shown us. And Tatsumaki happens to be one of the strongest characters sitting in that verse. Her incredible telekinesis techniques, she's super fast. Even though Guts is powerful, I think this is clearly a Tatsumaki victory. Gajeel versus Kane. This is just not fair for Kane at all. Clearly, this is a Gajeel stomp, one of the greatest dragon slayers in the fairy tale verse. This is just an unfair matchup, unfortunate matchup. Captain Kid versus Gojo is crazy. Oh man, okay. See, a lot of the One Piece fans out there have been sleeping on Captain Kid because of what happened to him versus Shanks. Shanks pretty much one-tapped him with Conqueror's Haki and took out his entire crew after that, with a little bit of help from Dory and Bragi as well. We understand that, but Captain Kid is still a formidable fighter in the One Piece verse. He still was able to take down Big Mom alongside Law. Captain Kid himself is also a Conqueror's Haki user, yet we have not seen it in the advanced coding form. So that's something we still have to see, but his Devil Fruit Awakening did make him look elite. He does have access to the railgun. He is a very fast fighter, but this is Gojo we're talking about, man. And when you're talking about Gojo, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, especially against One Piece characters, is I think you would need observation haki for Gojo. That's point blank, period. And not just a standard observation haki. You would need to have future sight. You would need to have the advanced techniques of observation haki. I think that's the only way you could really be in the Gojo type conversations. What's your observation haki? haki looking like. And as far as we know, Captain Kidd does not have access to future sight. Get him out of here. I'm going with Gojo from JJK. Flare going up against Sakura. So we know Flare is from Fairy Tales. She originally was from the Raven Tail Guild. She has the ability to manipulate her hair and use fire in certain types of techniques, but clearly this is a Sakura stomp. Sakura not only got much stronger in the Boruto series, but Sakura is one of the strongest, just pure raw strength fighters in Naruto, just based off of her punches, her slaps. They're insane. They have surpassed Tsunade. Not only that, but she has access to 100 healings. So if Flare even happens to damage her even the slightest a little amount, you could look at Sakura and say, well, she would just be able to heal herself almost instantaneously. Not only that, but she could also summon Katsuyu. So clearly Flare is getting stomped here. I'm going with Sakura. Blackbeard versus Pain. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting this type of matchup. If you had asked me how Blackbeard would match up against Pain back in, let's say, Marineford, this is a clear Pain stomp. If you're looking at what Blackbeard has access to now, we've seen the armament because S-Hawk did push him a little bit back, but the armament did pop out. We do know that Blackbeard has access to not only the Yami Yami no Mi, but now the Gurgur no Mi as well. So these are two insanely powerful devil fruits. And I think that even if you're looking at any of the paths, if they take a direct hit from Blackbeard's Gurgur no Mi, they're shattering. The only one that would really be hanging with Blackbeard would be the main one, the Deva path. For Blackbeard, he would have to look out for the human path. That's the main thing. If the human path is able to remove his soul or do anything like that, Blackbeard is done. He's out for the count. The animal path and all these other paths really would not be able to box with Blackbeard though, because I do think the Yami Yami no Mi would be devastating. Because even if you're looking at the Deva path techniques, the almighty push, the almighty pull, that's literally what Blackbeard can do with the Yami Yami no Mi. He can attract things to him. Not only does he attract things to him, once he grabs a hold of you, your abilities are now removed. If we're doing verse equalization, I think at that point, I think you really have to go with Blackbeard. The Gurgur no Mi is just too powerful. It really, Pain's only shot would have to be the human path. The human path would have to take out Blackbeard almost instantaneously, but Blackbeard has a lot more options to win for me in this scenario. I'm going with Blackbeard. Android 17 versus Jalal. See, this is so unfortunate for Jalal. Jalal is one of the strongest mages in Fairy Tail, but he got matched up with Android 17. Android 17 was one of the craziest fighters in the Tournament of Power. Literally was boxing with Jiren damn near. He is that lethal. Android 17 really was the MVP of the Tournament of Power, if we're being honest. I think I gotta go with Android 17. Bulma, that picture is wild, by the way. Bulma going up against Geto, I mean, clearly, Bulma clearly is one of the smartest characters in all of anime, but when you're matched up against Geto, I don't think she's really boxing with him at all. I'm going with Geto. All For One going up against Carrot. This matchup is weird because the way I view All For One is kind of the way I've been looking at Shigaraki as the next step up, but All For One is still incredibly powerful. We know he has access to a bunch of different quirks. I mean, All For One could steal techniques, he could use warp, he could block, he can grow multiple different arms, use radio waves. He has so many different techniques available to him, but Carrot would be a problem depending on what is going on outside. If it's a full moon, I think Carrot can hold her own. For me personally, I'm not sure what to do here because I think that Sulong Carrot would have the best chance, but it's still on a time limit. I think if we're going on prime forms, I think I gotta go with Carrot. NL versus Gyu, I mean, clearly, this is NL. We love Gyu from Demon Slayer. We gotta go with NL. No questions. Eren versus Shinobu. These pictures are crazy, huh? Are we serious though? Like, what are we really talking about? Because at the end of the day, if Eren drops the rumbling, the entire Demon Slayer verse is worried. Clearly, Eren is taking this. Roger versus Toji. I mean, Toji with prep time. Let me stop. Goji Roger is one of the strongest haki users in One Piece history. He stomps. Divine Departure, the same technique that he used against Odin, Shanks used against Captain Kidd, and now we don't know if Captain Kidd is alive or dead currently as we speak. We have to go with Goldie Roger 100%. Frieza going up against Yoruichi. I know the Bleach fans out there love to put Bleach characters up against DBZ characters, but let's be serious. Frieza, Golden Frieza, Black Frieza is stomping Yoruichi. No questions. Even though Yoruichi is one of the fastest characters we've ever seen in the Bleach verse, she's getting stomped by Frieza. Frankie versus Gyutaro. And what's interesting about Gyutaro is trying to find his weak points. And I think that's maybe where Frankie would struggle. But as a physical fighter, you have weapons left, strong right, you have radical beam. I mean, Frankie, General Frankie, Gyutaro wouldn't even be able to damage Frankie. I just wish for this type of matchup that Frankie knew what hockey was. Because at this point, I mean, damn, we're an egghead. Frankie, where's the hockey? You know, that's really what I wish, but he still beats Gyutaro, in my opinion. Videl going up against Sukuna. Now, I'm definitely a person that respects the DBZ verse. I'm not going to just write them off and start throwing all these new gen anime characters over them unless their verse is something close to that. But Sukuna being one of the most powerful fighters in the JJK verse, going up against one of the weaker fighters in the DBZ verse, we have to come back to reality. Videl, yes, she's able to fly. Yes, she was in the world tournament as well, but she's not boxing with the likes of Sukuna. Let's get real. Gotta go with Sukuna here. All right, so we have Farnice from Berserk going up against Whitebeard. Again, Berserk is cool, but it's not matching up with the One Piece verse in terms of power. It's Goatbeard. I mean, one of the strongest One Piece characters of all time. You know who I'm taking. Next up, we have Boss Man Jinbei going up against Shirka from Berserk. It's just unfortunate. Jinbei is one of the best Straw Hat members. Currently has a bounty sitting over 1 billion berries. Took down the likes of Who's Who. Tank techniques from Big Mom. Stopped and held off the Big Mom pirates while allowing the Straw Hats to escape and keep moving on. I mean, Jinbei is just too powerful for a lot of Berserk characters. Taking Jinbei. Endeavor versus Gyoko. Considering Gyoko got dropped off without even the strongest that the Demon Slayer verse has to offer, but when you're looking at the My Hero verse, I mean, Endeavor is one of the strongest the My Hero verse has to offer. You gotta go with Endeavor. Yes, he can overheat, but he still is one of the powerful fire masters that we've seen in the My Hero verse. Ino going up against Kobe. Kobe stocks have been rising recently. Now, I have not agreed where some people are put Kobe. Kobe is looking like he's up in the high heavens where a lot of you guys have him in the One Piece community. I'm not that fast to put Kobe that high, but he is looking a lot better. And because of that, you have to look at what he was doing. Honesty Impact is one of the biggest hockey techniques that we've seen from a lot of the lower mid-tier Marines. I mean, he's on his way up. Ino takes an Honesty Impact and she's down for the count. She has to really take over his mind immediately. Mind transfer jutsu has to lock in. But when you're looking at the likes of Kobe, who has been training with Garp, has been training with Bogart, I believe he has the hockey capable to take down Ino very, very quickly. Tony Chopper going up against Zenitsu. Zenitsu is incredibly fast. He has improved as well. His thunder breathing technique actually helped Tanjiro take down Upper Moon 4, so we have to give him credit there as well. But Tony Chopper was boxing against Queen in Wano. That's really all I really need to say. Did he win? No, but Zenitsu's not boxing with Queen. Broly versus Gigantomachia. We love My Hero. Pack up Gigantomachia, no difficulty versus getting blown up. Broly's outside. Next, Inosuke versus Genya. Now we have a very, very good matchup. Genya is incredible because he had to take on Demon Blood to keep going in the recent arc. And he also has access to a firearm. So he has long range and close range combat. When you're looking at Inosuke, close range, he bodies Genya. Genya does not have a shot. Long range, Genya may be able to contend. And now, like I said, he does have Demon Blood in him as well. I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Inosuke. And the only reason why I say that is because even though Genya is powerful, Inosuke has beast breathing. And that's a technique that he really made on his own. And I think Genya would have an issue fighting beast breathing for the first time. Hey, y'all. Y'all crazy with these pictures, man. Mikasa versus Tamari. See, what's tough is that the Naruto verse obviously scales higher than the AOT verse, but Mikasa is not just a regular Survey Corps member. She is an Ackerman. She has insane special powers and techniques. Clearly one of the strongest to do it. I mean, you could put Mikasa in the conversations with Levi, but I still believe that Tamari towards the end of Naruto Shippuden would grab the W. Android 21 versus Majin Buu. Now, if I remember correctly, Android 21 was hyped up in Dragon Ball FighterZ, one of the most powerful characters. I mean, just off that alone, yeah, I think Android 21 is just insanely powerful. Deku versus Garp. Deku, we love you, but it's Garp. It's Garp, man. You gotta go with Garp. Blue Hole, just all these types of different Conqueror's hockey techniques. He rivaled Roger back in the day, all right? And he boxed against Rocks. Garp. Ace versus Law. You know what's unfortunate about this? If Ace had the ability to keep going, he clearly would win this matchup. But the fact that Ace died early, we did not get to see his Conqueror's Haki really fully fleshed out. We just heard about it in the Ace novels, but we didn't get to see it really in action. It's upsetting. Now, if you would ask me to replace Ace with Sabo, I'm going with Sabo. But because it's Ace here, I gotta take Law. Luffy versus Sir Pico. I don't even care who is to the right of Luffy right now, because it's clearly Sun God Nika, Gear 5 Luffy. 100% hands down. Chopper versus Gojo. All right, now we're moving. You got to go with domain expansion. You got to go with Unlimited Void. Absolutely. Kobe versus Whitebeard. See, this is where the Haki comes in. What's your Haki looking like, Kobe? Oh, it's not Whitebeard level? Goodbye. Android 17 versus Luffy. Damn it! Come on, bro. Give my man a fighting chance, man. Y'all put... Come on, man. What about... Oh, man. This is crazy. They did Luffy so dirty, man. He just got out the first round. Why he's up against Android 17? All right, man. Android 17, bro. Yeah, you can't... Damn. Goldie Roger versus Mob. Wow, this one is tough, y'all. Conqueror's Haki wise, Mob is gonna be pushed to the brink. But I believe once Mob taps into that unknown power, you know, the power that we saw against Mogami that was shattering the parallel dimension, it's gotta be Mob. But it's weird because, you know what's interesting about this? And the reason why I'm gonna have to go with Mob is the fact that Roger does not have a Devil Fruit. And it's one of the odd situations where having Haki in the One Piece verse is more powerful in One Piece. If you have greater Haki, Haki transcends all, in the words of Kaido. But when you're talking about out of verse battles, it really is better to have a Devil Fruit ability coupled with your Haki 100%. Because had this been Luffy, had this been Blackbeard maybe, I mean, then you could start having conversations because of the Devil Fruit awakenings and the hacks and certain things like that. But because Roger is just purely Haki based, I don't know if that's enough to take down Mob personally. Yes, he probably has access to reroll with Conqueror's coding, so if he lands an attack on Mob, Mob is done because he's gonna be taking too much damage. But Mob in unknown percent literally was destroying a parallel dimension. That's greater than anything I've seen Roger do. So I gotta go with Mob. Garp versus Rock Lee. We love you, Rock Lee. We love all 8 gates. But the Haki that Garp has is just too much. Geto going up against Jinbei. I think I gotta go with Bossman Jinbei personally. I think he's just, Jinbei is really a tank. Fishman Karate is like a poor man's armament Haki, but not only that, he actually does have access to armament Haki. Listen, he blocked an attack from Big Mom. I don't see Geto doing that. A straight up attack from Big Mom, I think Geto is down for the count personally. I'm gonna take Jinbei. Frankie versus Krillin. Frankie, you had a good run, but you can't spell Haki. I'm going with Krillin. Inosuke versus Broly. Next, Tamari versus Tatsumaki. You gotta go with Tatsumaki. Blackbeard versus Gajeel. Ooh, Blackbeard versus Gajeel. This might be, I don't know. Now, here's the thing about Gajeel in this type of matchup. He did box against the likes of Acnologia, and he did access Iron Shadow Dragon form. I believe in that form, it may be tough for Blackbeard because, I mean, would that really counter the Yami Yami no Mi? Because, I mean, he has Shadow Magic as well, coupled with his Iron Magic. I think that's something we have to look at when you're looking at durability wise as well. Gajeel is definitely more durable than Blackbeard. Blackbeard does have access to the Gurgura no Mi, but he does have to lock in more on Haki. We need to see more Haki feats from Blackbeard, especially Conquerors. It really comes down to if we're saying the Yami Yami no Mi would still be able to flourish with Gajeel's Iron Dragon Shadow form, because I think once the Shadow form gets brought in, you know, Rogue's Shadow Magic, that's what was able to help out Gajeel unlock that form. If he's able to use that against Blackbeard, I think that really is a problem for the Yami Yami no Mi personally. I think I'm gonna go with Gajeel here. Frieza versus Enel. Frieza. Law versus Sukuna. I'm going with Law. I said it. I'm going with Law. I believe if you're talking about Law's room abilities, if you're talking about Law's Devil Fruit ability, the room technique that's able to swap souls and remove important body parts and do all of these types of crazy things, Law got it. Carrot versus Garo. Just an unfortunate matchup for Carrot. Gotta go with Garo here. Endeavor versus Sakura. Here's what I'll say about this one. We spoke about it earlier, but you know, obviously Endeavor has prominence burn. He has all these insane techniques, but Endeavor still is susceptible to overheating. And if he overheats, I think Sakura can expose him. The problem with this matchup is that Sakura will be able to summon Katsuyu, which would be problematic for really Endeavor to get his fire techniques off powerfully. But even if he's able to get those things off, I still believe that Sakura is such a greater taijutsu fighter, close range combat than Endeavor, that he's going to be having to output a lot of fire for Sakura. And if he's able to burn Sakura, which he probably will be able to burn Sakura, Sakura can heal herself with 100 healings. So at some point he's going to overheat, I believe. I believe this is a battle of attrition and it's going to go to Sakura. Personally, Asa versus Higuruma, clearly Asa stomps. And then versus Android 21. Now, if everything I've heard about Android 21 stands, you gotta go with Android 21. Broly versus Asta, Broly. Gojo versus Garp, ooh, Gojo versus Garp, oh my gosh. When you're looking at the haki techniques that Garp has, and you look at who he had to fight against, Shiki, Roger, people of that nature, I believe you cannot contend in those types of scenarios unless you have future sight observation haki with characters of that caliber. And I personally believe, as I've said in the past, if you have future sight observation haki, you can counter Gojo if you're elite in the One Piece verse. Now, future sight is not enough. You still need more power, but Garp in his prime is one of the most powerful characters in One Piece. I don't think he's really bodying Garp at this stage in the game. We're talking about prime Garp with future sight. So I would probably give the edge to Garp, but I think if Garp ends up in the unlimited void, it's a problem. I know people are going to mention that Gojo has limitless. He has blue, red, and purple. Completely understandable. I just think that the advantages that haki users have in the One Piece verse would be problematic for Gojo because Garp would be able to look into the future and see what Gojo is going to be throwing at him and then also counter it before Gojo even has a chance to get certain techniques off. I gotta go with Garp. Sakura versus Tatsumaki. I'm going with Tatsumaki. Next up, we have Android 21 versus Jinbei. Gotta go with Android 21. Frieza versus Law. You have to go with Frieza, clearly. Gajio versus Whitebeard. For Whitebeard, I'm not questioning Whitebeard's haki at all, especially if we're taking everybody in their prime. Yeah, Gajio was in the Aknologia fight, but so were a bunch of other Dragon Slayers. He was not the main takeaway from that. It really was Natsu, in my opinion. I think prime Whitebeard with the haki matchup would definitely be able to get it done, personally. I think he has the haki to make it happen. Android 17 versus Krillin. Clearly, you gotta go with Android 17. Garo versus Mob. This is very, very tough for me. I think I'm gonna have to go with Garo here. Broly versus Garo. Oh my gosh. Now we have some competition for Broly. What's interesting about this matchup is a lot of people equated Saitama's exponential growth during the fight with Garo to Broly's exponential growth. Based on what I saw at the end of Dragon Ball Superhero and the fact that Broly is now in the lab with Whis and Beerus and Goku and Vegeta, I'm going with Broly. Because after the Broly movie, I was wondering, well, what would happen if Broly got into the lab and started to... Now he's in the lab. Frieza versus Garp, clearly Frieza. Frieza stomps the verse. Android 21 versus Tatsumaki. Now we know that Android 21 has cells from Piccolo, Kid Buu, Cell, all of these mixtures of people, but Tatsumaki is still one of the most powerful in the One Punch Man verse. Obviously Saitama is way above everybody else, but Tatsumaki is one of the closest characters to Saitama in strength, but I'm not too sure, but I think I want to go with Tatsumaki for this one. You guys let me know down in the comment section below who you would take. Android 17 versus Whitebeard. Whitebeard, you had a good run, but Tournament of Power boxing with Jiren is way above what you can handle. Android 17 versus Tatsumaki. Again, Android 17 was my MVP for the Tournament of Power. I gotta go with Android 17. Frieza versus Broly. Black Frieza going up against Broly. Oh man. Black Frieza was proven to be more powerful than a true Ultra Instinct Goku and a Ultra Ego Vegeta, but I don't believe we've seen Broly post-training. Would it be insane to say that Broly has a technique that would allow him to get up to that level? I don't necessarily know, but considering that Goku and Vegeta were able to take down Broly, even though they had to fuse to do it, they clearly struggled with Black Frieza. I'm gonna go with Frieza. Android 17 versus Frieza. If you're talking Black Frieza, you gotta go with Black Frieza. All right, so as you guys can see here, I have Frieza winning overall after giving him the W over Broly. You guys let me know down in the comment section below which characters you agree with or disagree with on this chart. This was crazy. This was a lot of fun. So if you guys want to see me do some other types of things like this, let me know and I'll do it. With that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.